Going. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of The Circle. Tonight, we will be talking about Anti Vaxxers. Are they batshit crazy, just batshit crazy, or what else is going on in their crazy little minds? All right. Tonight, tonight we have Luke, we have Uriah, and we have Dan. And the link is already posted in the comment section for anybody who wants to join in. Just go ahead and go click it and come on in and share your view. Greetings. How's everybody doing tonight?
Great. Thank you.
What about you, Dan? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Just work. Went to the fair. It's pretty fun.
Oh, yeah. Getting smaller and smaller each year around here.
Right? There was only like 5 rides.
Every year before this, there was at least 2 rows, both sides with the games. And this year there was only 1 row, only had like a fourth of what it used to be. Pretty sad. Pretty sad. But anyway, we gather here tonight to talk about anti-vaxxers, and the reason that I decided to have this as a topic of conversation tonight is conversation with some family about someone that we used to go to church with. Apparently, they've been foster parents since way back, and apparently, as of the last couple of years, they've decided that they're questioning vaccines, and so they decided not to get one of their foster kids vaccinated, and the kid ended up getting some curable disease and dying from it. And in discussing this with some people, even though the people that I discussed it with would claim that they understood where I was coming from and that they agreed with my point, they still tried to argue, and every time they would try to argue against it, it would always start out, well, they're foster kids and their lives are already fucked up, and so I would interrupt, like, what the hell does that have to do with anything? And then the person would just keep getting mad, well, if you're just going to keep interrupting me, and then it was and I seriously think they had nothing to finish it up with, because how can any logical, sane person even start a sentence like, well, they're foster kids and their lives are already fucked up, so, and they have anything to do based in rationality with, with logic or anything, and not coming across as complete prick. Yeah, I wasn't about to let that conversation go down that road. That's just insane. And they kept, trying to attack me, well, on your show, if you kept treating people like this. It's like, well, yeah, if someone came on my show and said, oh, well, they're foster kids and their lives are already fucked up, so their parents or the foster parents can just not vaccinate them and let them die and still get paid for the state. That wouldn't happen on the show. I wouldn't let someone be that much of a piece of shit and just get away with it, They would be called out, they would be shut down, and unless they had a decent point to back up, unless they had, a decent point to finish that sentence with, which when pressed, of course, it always devolved into, well, you're just not letting me finish, and this and that, I try to get that point, but like I say, I don't think there is, I don't think there is a point there. And as I've said, these people, if I ever hear that they have foster kids again, if they get any more, then I will call CPS. That's the most messed up thing ever for them to just be able to, hey, get paid for the state, and kid dies. Well, it was a mistake. Just give us another one and continue on their merry old day. Well, what's everybody else think about that?
Yeah, that's really sad for them. If they thought it was a good idea to not give vaccine to the child, I guess, yeah, they had their reason. The reason they put forth wasn't a good one. but I heard people bring forth good, well, more reasonable, at least more reasonable reasons than, well, they're just foster kids, you know. And it goes with the data. Do you have any data about the how much vaccine is in French is efficace, in English should be how it works well?
I've been both me and Uriah have been for most of the day trying to find concise little graphs. We found plenty of complete scientific papers as to why like right now things like mumps and measles and all that are coming back at an alarming rate. But there's been yet any okay. Here's a little. Let's see. Measles. Okay, wow. Cease's case. All right. Here is a graph here about how measles is coming back. Correct, Uriah? This is number of cases and the year.
That's just number of cases of measles
Okay.
from
Yeah. All right.
CDC.
Now, okay, here I can go ahead and show this real quick since we have it. But in a case of being able to just having a piece of paper that presents all the data that I wanted to present, I was not able to drum that up for this episode.
Okay, well, did you get an idea, like a general idea on how powerful a vaccine can be?
On how what?
On how powerful, how I don't know how to say that in English, but how well a vaccine could work.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
How effective it is.
Yeah. Do you have like
effective, yeah.
numbers on how effective it was?
Well, what about that, Uriah? You think you could take a second to try to find anything in that data range?
The internet.
Trying to find which two things are you trying to find?
So Uriah is asking if we could find any data on the effectiveness of vaccines, correct?
Yes, in general, yeah.
So from what I've seen, okay, well, we know for a fact, look at polio as an example. You know, polio vaccine came out. Polio affected, what, 1 in 6 children back in the I don't even remember what years. But and nowadays you have, and now I don't even know the number of cases of polio.
Yeah, I think we get like 1, maybe 2 things of polio per decade now, just because somebody goes overseas. But we basically have eradicated polio out of existence for the most part.
Yeah, except for it still exists in some third world countries where they haven't eradicated it yet. But and that's the same thing with rubella, mumps, measles. There's a whole list of these diseases that have not even really existed in the United States for the past 100 years or so, that are like in the example of this measles one here. Look, almost non-existent. Wait, am I actually okay? Yeah, see, almost non-existent up until 2014. And that's 2013, 2014. I think is when all that Anti Vaxxer stuff started, huh? Late 2012. Something around there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so
that's probably not when it all started. Is probably when it got big.
Yeah, well, that's what I meant. The recent. I know the original study that sparked it was from the 70s or something like that, was it not? The one study that suggested that might be something, that there might be something there, compared to the thousands that show that there aren't, hundreds of thousands, or. That's the other thing is sifting through all that data. I mean, I can say, yeah. I mean, I've looked and read today, and I can say, yes, I've seen that the data shows that 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 vaccines are that they work. But then again, I can't just pull papers out. You know, I mean, you can go Google it and see everything that I've seen, but I can't quite just show you right now. You know what I mean?
The last one from Urea is a good one.
Yeah. Right.
Polio cases in Australia.
Ooh. Right. Screen share this in there. Yeah. Right. Huh. This is from 47 to 1967.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
1947, 1968. It's
wow. I mean, look at that. That right there. That's very clear.
Yeah. Well, that's the main reason that I heard was, is it really because of the vaccine or is it because of something else, like habits or stuff like that? You know,
habits.
Yeah, like the way they eat or the way they bath or
the whole vaccine thing. That was okay. So
the water.
Right, so there's. So they use what's called ethyl, or they used to use, as far as I don't know if they use it anymore. From the paper that I was reading, the paper that I read said that it had been tailored out, but they use what's called ethyl mercury, and ethyl mercury it's a preservative. It's a what did they say? Organic mercury. It's organic, and it just passes right through your body. It doesn't affect us, right? And then there's methyl mercury, and methyl mercury is highly toxic. Like even just a drop on your skin, and you'll like die within a week. It's crazy toxic. And these people are getting them confused. I think was the main stem. Well, and then there was, like I said, there was also a single paper done like back in the 70s or early 80s or something like that, that said that there might be a link between the MMR vaccinations and autism, and that was simply because autism starts to present about the time that the MMR vaccine is given, if I understand that correctly, about the same age. So they said, oh, he just got that shot about a month ago, and now he's showing symptoms of autism. Therefore, it must be the shot.
So that's the same reasoning that I got from those people who didn't want to vaccine. How do you say that? They didn't
vaccinate.
Want to. Sorry.
Vaccinate.
Vaccinate. They didn't want to vaccinate their children. They didn't want to vaccinate their children because there were no relation between the vaccination and the not getting sick part from the thing you were vaccinating against. And they told me, I didn't verify that, but the reason why was people who were vaccinated still got sick. They were vaccinated and they still got the thing.
Yes, of course, yes. I mean, it'll be the rate of that will be okay. The rate, the onset, and the duration, and the effectiveness of whatever disease you got will be way lower, right? So the spread of it will be nowhere near as able as it was. So of course, disease will always be there. So what vaccinations are going to do is they're going to lessen your chance of getting it, and if you get it, if you do get it, they're going to lessen the time the time you have it, lessen the strength that it affects you, and lessens the ability to spread it on, to pass it.
Okay, so what I've heard is that for every time they tested in laboratories, so let's say I give you a vaccine for that kind of thing, which is not a deadly thing, okay? Just give you like what makes you want to puke. Okay,
Mhm.
let's say it's something like that. Okay, so not very something, not major but minor, and so they gave these people the vaccine, these other people no vaccine, and then they injected the virus to
Mhm.
all of them.
I have the site pulled up right now. It says that when you vaccinate babies, there may be allergic reactions, which includes itching, rash, swelling around the mouth, face, trouble breathing, and low blood pressure, seizures, high fever, joint pain or stiffness, pneumonia. This is I just googled side effects of baby vaccinations.
Mhm. Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
I kind of see why some people are against that, because I mean, pneumonia can kill your kid. You don't
So,
want to give your kids, you want them to feel pain. So,
yeah,
like,
and that's understandable. And you have to also understand that when someone is given a vaccine, what a vaccine is a dead or dumb, a dumbed down or dead version of whatever virus, or so your body can take care of that problem. It can kill off the already dead, the shell of the virus, but it then understands it will be able to recognize that virus earlier next time. It'll already have the
actually,
mechanism for destroying it.
you're actually infecting yourself with the dead virus. Is
Yeah.
what a vaccination is.
Yeah, the shell.
You take the virus. It's
Yeah,
a dead version.
it's a dead virus or a shell. It's a shell of a virus. Yes, exactly. That's what I was just saying. Yeah, and so that's completely understandable that an infant's immune system sometimes, on rare occasion, will act up because of dead virus being injected into their bloodstream. But to say that I don't want to give my kids something that might give them a little rash, a little swelling, a little bit now, and I will let that complete virus or whatever just let it have their way with them is a ridiculous rationale. You know?
There, the results from the study I was talking about was that there were no difference between those people who got the vaccine and those other people who didn't get the vaccine.
I think
Some people
history shows.
got sick.
Well,
Some
and
people,
you're talking about you were talking about things like a stomach bug, correct?
something like a bug, yeah.
Like the
I don't know what
flu
it was
or
exactly. As I told you, I didn't read about the study itself. Just heard about it, and well, what I took from that was there were no proof that vaccination was effective.
yeah, no, that's not true in the least. See, and now if you're talking about something like the flu or something like that, then that might be the case, considering people get the flu vaccine every year, but there's
Vaccination
hundreds
goes
of
down.
thousands. So what?
Did you see the last graph that
The
I?
last. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, put that up. Okay, well, let's talk about this year. This year, scientists have to guess what strain of the flu is going to be most prevalent. There's hundreds of thousands of different strains, right? So if you're talking about something like the flu, yeah, if you're given the vaccine for this strain over here, yet this strain is the one that ends up going around, then you're not vaccinated from it. That's like getting a polio vaccine and saying, "Oh, I still got mumps." See, vaccines don't work. It's just nonsense. Polio vaccines don't deal with mumps.
Yeah,
And so for one, you're talking about such a broad level of, oh well, stomach viruses, and they still got a stomach virus. Well, I mean, I don't know what that can be such a broad thing that, yeah, there's hundreds of thousands of different types of stomach viruses. Was it the same virus? Was it the same mutation? Was it? I mean, you know what I mean? That's the thing. If if a disease mutates, they have to make another vaccine because the vaccine for the unmutated won't work on the mutated. You know, so yeah, you'll have to update it. So that just seems shaky ground to conclude. I mean, you know, you look at the world and where's all the mumps? Where's all the rubella? Where's all the, you know what I mean? You know, polio. If vaccinations only worked, you know, about as well as 50-50, then none of those things would be only prevalent in places that don't have mass vaccination. You know.
It's
Oh,
not. It's
maybe.
not that. It's that the strain. If like somewhere here, you know, somewhere here, it's all the same strain. Keep your people the same in the same area. Or you're not. You know what I mean? Like if you don't, if when you that's why they regulate who goes in and out of the country. You know what I mean? Like they're supposed to be protecting us, but I mean, like I just heard the other day that TSA like failed 68 or yeah, it was like no 68 out of 40 or 70, sorry, and they
Yeah, I just heard about that too. How they failed most of the the people.
Good
What the fuck is the word? Come on.
They would, if it was a school test, they would have failed. You know.
Yeah. People. God, what is there's a fucking name for that? I can't even think about that right now. And yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah. I mean, you can't really depend on airport workers to stop disease. You know what I mean? Like that's a scientific, you know.
But that's their job.
Well,
that's their
TSA workers, really, their job is to stop bombs.
That's
and
why
things.
Ebola. That's why Ebola
not,
the U.S.
Well, I mean, people travel. You can't just say, "Well, there's people sick over there." You know, Ebola is a problem because there's not enough people getting Ebola that can pay for a vaccine. Because you know, if Ebola was over here, then everybody would be able to pay for a vaccine. The pharmaceutical companies would invest in the vaccine. They're only now getting around to an Ebola vaccine because it's just starting to come over here. Hey, you're right.
Yeah.
Go ahead and explain this graph to us real fast, please.
Okay. The graph has two parts. One is shows the decline of the whooping cough vaccination in the population. The bottom one has the increase of whooping cough in the population. So there's a clear correlation between the two as they converge.
That's a really good point. I see that.
That's yeah, but again, you know, I have this website where called Curious Correlation or something about correlation.
But a cold is not the same strain as a flu, but can have similar symptoms and can confuse people for it.
Confuse? No, what I'm saying is that it's not because there is a drop in the number of people whooping in the number of whooping cases, and there is not a drop the other way, high in vaccination. That vaccination is the cause. You know what I mean? There is no. It's not sure there is a relation between the one and the other. How do you call that?
You're saying that just because they correlate, one may the other?
Yes, one may not be the reason for the other.
Causation, yes. Correlation does not equal causation. But we're okay. this graph right here. Okay. Let's see. What was it saying? Just because something happens near or around something doesn't mean it was happened because of that. But when you have multiple, well, I mean, we just have this one graph right here. But when you have studies like this that show that the effectiveness of the vaccine dropped, and as that dropped, the cases of people getting it increased. The odds. I mean, I shouldn't really talk about odds, but I mean,
basically, it's different in the case with vaccines because vaccines are designed to fight the disease. So I mean, the correlation implies causation in these type of researches because it's developed because the vaccines are developed to battle the illness.
Well, right. Okay, I see. So he's saying if you're just wandering along, looking at things and going, oh, this and that, so that must be this, then that's the fallacy. But if you're saying, okay, I'm going to do this, and if this is the outcome, then that's right and it's working. And if this is the outcome, then it's wrong and that's not working. Then that's not the fallacy. That is the test designed to show.
And that's the trouble we have today. As I understood those people, they were telling me that there is no study that does what you're saying. There is no study saying this is what the vaccine will do, and let's vaccine these people, this other person, and look at the results 10 years later. This kind of study doesn't exist.
Right,
today.
right, but no, these are the studies, though. That's the point. I mean.
Right? Well, doesn't every single pharmaceutical company have to produce these double-blind studies to show that the medicine works in the first place?
Yes, but not for vaccines. So that's the thing.
Really?
Yeah, that's what they told me. So I was wondering if you had those kind of numbers,
I mean,
that's why
I don't.
That's why I asked for them at the beginning.
Yeah, I don't. Just because someone says that, I don't believe that.
Yeah. So it's a question that still hangs in the air because, frankly, I didn't take the time to look it up online because I don't have kids, so I don't really care. and
it affects more than just kids.
What do you mean, vaccination?
Yeah, vaccinations would affect you too. It's still, you can decide whether to go get vaccinated or not, whether to go get your flu shot or not, whether to, and that's a big part of the problem too.
It's true. I could get some.
I don't get a flu shot. I haven't gotten a flu shot since I got out the army. And they didn't. They didn't even make us do it. Or they said we had to, but I never did it. I never went and paid for it. Maybe when I was in basic training in 2008.
Yeah, I never paid for it either, but I got it. We're at a food bank in December, and they were giving out free flu shots. So, but like I said, I started to get into it earlier. So the scientists this year they have a certain flu shot this year. Last year technically, but they guessed wrong. They guessed the strain wrong, and so people, got their flu shots, but that was not the main strain of the flu going around. So a lot of people still got sick, anyways.
Oh, they made a mistake.
It's all down to they have to be able to make enough of it in advance, so they have to basically guess by looking out and seeing what strains of the flu are most prevalent around the world. They're trying to guess as to which strains are going to come in, or which genetics, or however not strains. I don't know if that's the actual proper term, but you understand the point I'm trying to get across. And so they can't wait to see which one pops up. What, Dan?
That is the correct terminology.
Okay, cool. So they can't wait to see, so they have to basically forecast and guess ahead. And most years they get it correct. This is the first year they've gotten it wrong in, I don't know how many years, but a long time as far as I know. All right, before anybody, we have one viewer. It says right here. I just wanted to let everybody that's watching know the link is actually posted in the events comments. So if anybody would like to join, just go ahead and go click that and hop on in and give us your opinion. We'd love to hear from you. Want to join? Yeah. Anyway, so who was going to say something next before I so rudely interrupted? Nobody's going to say anything? Talking to myself here?
You look pretty today.
What
happened to your hair?
What?
No, I was joking around.
You should have seen me the other day. I braided 2 pigtails. Oh yeah, I love doing my hair.
Great.
He was over there smoking with him.
Yeah.
There's this other reason. Someone else told me, well, I won't get my kids vaccinated because anyway, those other people will get their kids, and we only need that many people vaccinated for the vaccination to work. I guess it's something like 70% of the population or 80% of the population vaccinated.
Right, but
you're talking about
only so much
herd
percent,
immunity.
only so many percent needs to be vaccinated. But if somebody takes the time to think that the other person is going to get it, then nobody will get vaccinated.
Yes.
That's one main problem. The other main problem is the less people. So even if we just get enough people vaccinated to maintain herd immunity, the prevalence and the division of the strains will still be to the point where new genetics will pop up too fast for us to efficiently deal with. And I'm not saying it'll still be an epidemic. But the more people that get vaccinated, then the more the stronger herd immunity will be, and the less effective the strain will be, or the strains will be in throughout society. Or that's my humble opinion, anyways. Hey, welcome, Kage, right? I pronounced that right?
Kage Shinma.
Kage, yeah, Kage. Okay. Hey, welcome, man.
It's Japanese.
It's right there.
Yep, you got it right. Sorry about that. Mic was off. So yeah, herd immunity, great stuff. You still have to have a better than it's like 93 or 95% immunity rate or immunization rate to really get the full effects of herd immunity.
Damn, is it that high? I mean, I knew it was like
it
high,
is
but I
high.
thought it was like 80s or 70s. Oh.
No, down into the 70s, you have epidemics. Actually, in the areas that were, if you look at the cross section of the area that was devastated after the measles thing, their numbers were down in the mid 80s, and it tore through that, and it tore through the unvaccinated population. Just ripped through it.
That's a scary thing, because even if a child is not vaccinated, they can still, and they don't get sick, they can still carry that disease and give it to a vaccinated child, and and that I don't know. The whole thing is, I don't know. I don't see how the hype is. Well, I mean, big enough. I see how it's big enough now, but I don't see how many people could join that hype train to begin with to cause something like that, such a bad outbreak. I mean,
I got 2 words for you: Jenny McCarthy.
Yes, Jenny McCarthy. Oh God.
She's got to do with that.
She went completely over the side of full retard, and down past full Macintosh to get to popularize this thing about measles and autism, and everybody is terrified of autism. Everyone.
Oh yeah. So she
That
said
is a
something about
yeah. That's where
the relation between
she said
vaccine
she
and
said what she said is that the vaccines that they gave her kids, including the MMR, which Wakefield was the one to poo-poo that, despite the fact that he didn't make that he. We won't even get into how horrible that study was. I am not an immunologist. I am a layperson, and I could look at it, pull through all the details, just using basic scientific method that everyone learns in high school, a little bit extra from college, and I could tell you exactly where the problems were in this report. that the folks that were editing the Lancet at the time didn't see that. That was scary. Those people, that shit scared me a lot.
yeah. Plus the media should did help to spread the
So,
word.
No,
so Kage, you understand all that a little bit better. Maybe for us, maybe you want to give like a quick little recap of how so you seem to have understand how all that went down. Can you give, like I say, a quick little recap of from the beginning of all the anti-vax stuff till Jenny McCarthy and now and all that?
well, okay. There's always been a small anti-vax component. People that just don't like the idea of people putting things in other people's bodies. Okay, these people, the real crank started up probably in the early 1980s, kind of making some more agitation, and nobody paid attention to them because everybody remembered what polio was actually like.
Yeah. Now, was this
And
after
they didn't want to see that, and they didn't want to
study that you were talking about, that Wakefield? Is that what you said?
No. Let me. I'm going to try and give you as much of the history as I can. Wakefield is until later.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Actually, we're going to get to Wakefield just now. Okay. Come 1992 or 1993, about the time I was graduating from high school, Andrew Wakefield started his little study based on some patents that he had been trying to file for an alternative to the MMR, on top of being paid by a group of British lawyers. I mean, we're not talking paid small amounts. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of pounds. And this is all information you can just grab on the internet today. He didn't disclose any of this with his study, nor his methods for collecting his samples or anything else. Let's just say he violated a number of laws doing that. That paper was finally published in the Lancet in 1996, and I don't know how he pulled it off. I pulled that paper apart myself in an hour. But he immediately popularized it. And it came to the attention of Jenny McCarthy a little bit later, about the time about the time that her youngest son at that time had gotten the MMR, about and a couple of months later started showing signs of autism. Well, all of a sudden, out of the woodwork. But the reason we've been getting an increase in autism diagnoses is because the DSM-4 expanded the definition of autism to a much larger area, and of course that would you could make a correlation between MMR vaccination rules, which became available about the same time as the DSM-4 came out, the original DSM-4, and the DSM-4's expansion of the definitions and therefore the diagnosis rate. Anyway, Mr. Wakefield's paper concluded that the vaccines were getting into the kids' digestive tracts, tearing holes in them, and then that was causing the autism. Nowadays, they just say vaccine, autism. Puff. Okay.
Hold on. Say that one more time. Say that one more time.
Mr. Wakefield concluded that based on some sort of prevalence of irritable bowel syndrome and other sort of similar digestive problems, that the vaccines were tearing holes in the lining of the digestive tract, and that was causing the autism.
IBS caused by vaccines cause autism. How?
Don't ask me how he came to that conclusion. I don't know. It's not even clear in the paper.
I mean,
Okay, it's he simply goes from point A to point B. He says, okay, I got this group of people that has this group of people that have that, and boom. There's my conclusion. I don't have anything. He doesn't even have anything really that connects it.
wow.
And I'm like I said, I'm terrified beyond belief that the Lancet actually published it.
Wow.
For mine, that it took them almost 15 years to take it down and defrock the sorry bastard. His sample size was less than a dozen. Of those, he claimed that all of them had these problems, but when you go back and you look at the kids, they don't. I think he actually had one kid that was autistic in the whole mess. But the biggest thing here with the whole MMR autism thing, and that's really where it's all kind of centered, is that usually the time that the kids are considered capable of withstanding the MMR is about the time that is within about 3 or 4 months of the time that any autism symptoms are going to start showing up.
Yeah. Yeah. What were you saying?
Correlation causation fallacy.
What did you say, Dan?
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dan.
I didn't hear you.
You were saying something.
Spider-Man.
Dan?
Speak. Huh? That's it now, huh?
He had 2 yesterday and
All right. Okay, sorry. Continue then, Carter.
Anyway, once that happened to Jenny McCarthy, she went public in the largest way possible. She brokered every bit of her fame and the attention she was getting from 90210 and blasted across the airwaves that Andrew Wakefield was onto something. And of course, we listen to celebrities.
Yeah.
And
radio,
here in the U.S.
Newspaper.
Look, all those
Radio,
evil chemicals going into our kids. Well, guess what? How about all the evil chemicals they take on anyway? How about all the evil chemicals that make up your bodies? Our bodies actually make formaldehyde. We do.
No,
we manufacture formaldehyde in our corpuscles.
They make it like a legal issue if you don't get your kids vaccinated, you know?
Well,
don't they?
Honestly,
that I don't agree with, though. See, that I don't agree with. Now, see, I do not agree that someone should be forced to get their kids vaccinated. Now, if that
you can't take kids to school. You can't. You have to. You can't take them to school.
That's completely different. That's completely different. Completely different. Like, okay, in my opinion, a parent should not be forced
to do it.
To get the kid vaccinated, right? But if that child gets sick and dies or spreads that disease to some other child whose health gets affected or dies, I believe those parents are directly responsible. And that includes
be held
the school
accountable.
System.
That's true.
Yeah. So
compulsory vaccination. See, here's the thing: compulsory vaccination has two side effects that you're not thinking about. Number one, it prevents the cases that you're talking about, and really what you're doing there is you're criminalizing people for not taking action, and that's not a good thing. Um,
No, no. I mean, you criminalize the decision and the execution of the decision to get behind the wheel drunk. You should criminalize the decision and execution of willfully letting your child and or the children that associates with your children to these horrible and easily preventable diseases.
see, I'm going to have to agree with you here on a fundamental level. It's not that I really necessarily actually completely disagree with this thought, but if you force them to take an action, they will take an action. Whereas if you don't, they may not, and then cause themselves problems down the line. Why are we? All we're going to do that way is inundate the court system, and that's money and time that we're having to spend doing that, rather than the $50 or whatever it is for a vaccine. I mean, MMR doses they're cheap.
I just don't see
treating any of it.
I just don't see forcing people to do something like that to end good, especially with those type of people. You know what I mean? I think making something like that compulsory would, in the long run, fill up the courts, because those people are going to do nothing but take it to court that they, well, I don't believe in that, so I don't want to get my kid vaccinated, and the state can't tell me what to do, so I'm going to go fight this, and
yes,
and that's going to
after you make the first couple of examples of people like that, then it stops happening. Do you agree?
Could be true. It could be true.
Just kidding.
If you make an example of the first few, then it stops being a problem. If you tell them they have to take action and they don't take it, you hammer them, and then you hammer them flat for not doing it. That's not going to waste nearly as much time or money as it would be just to say, well, you can get vaccinated, and all of these people died. You're now guilty of their murder.
Yeah, that's true. And then you're going to also have to get the genetics of the disease that killed your kid to prove that's the strain that came from that kid, so that that parent is responsible. Yeah, that leads to a bunch of mess too.
Yeah, that leads to it.
Yeah,
Put it this way: what would you rather see? Would you rather see, 2 or 3 dozen people wind up on the dock for misdemeanor charges that ultimately they're going to get over anyway, or would you rather see a dozen people up for 400 or 500 felony counts? And that's really the difference. Okay.
Good point. Very good point, man. Uriah, what were you saying?
I said it really comes down to. Sorry, I'll shut up. Go ahead, Dan.
I was saying that the children that die from anti vaxxers, that parents should be put on for negligent homicide,
which is still a felony.
Right.
And I don't disagree with that. The idea here, however, is to mandate vaccination wherever possible. And that's actually going to be all to the good. But the court system nearly as much, or pack the prisons full of a few million people that just cannot wrap their heads around. You need to do this because everybody else is going to die if you don't. You're endangering everyone else's health by being an idiot. One person isn't a problem, but when you get well, when you're talking about a population the size of the one on our planet, and you have, say, I don't know, let's just throw a number out there. Let's say we've got 2 billion people that decide that they just can't vaccinate, period. People. Okay, that's a third. That's a little less than a third of our population. Okay. This is assuming that, of course, all of the niceties like 100% vaccination coverage for every person, which we can't do now, and we're getting there. Okay. When you have ISIS buying vaccines, something's wrong. Something is wrong with you. Something is wrong with your anti-vax attitude when ISIS is thinking about this more clearly than you are.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
When the Stone Age thinkers are more modern in their thoughts on or their views on it than you are. Yeah, that's crazy.
You have a problem now. Just to kind of put this a little bit more. Just to kind of get the other side of this here. There are a few people on the face of this planet that have been injured by vaccines, because like everything else that we do that involves biology in any way, there are going to be some people that react badly.
Yeah.
And they happen. It's not cool, but it does happen. And we even have a special court here in the United States that's paid out a couple of $1 million over the last about 10 or 15 years to parents whose children were just screwed. It does happen, and I will freely admit that there are people that do get hurt, but it's not nearly to the degree that we're talking that these people want us to think it is.
Yeah, and not only that, but we know they can do the math, and with population they can understand that out of so many people, so many of those bad reactions are expected, and they can be ready to help try and fight those bad reactions.
Actually, believe it or not, I'm going to be really mean here. I actually made a video on this subject some time ago. Let me just track it down here. I don't remember. It was called Anti-Vaccination Attitude or something similar. Yep, Random Rants Anti-Vaccination Attitude. It was about 5 months ago. And if somebody's actually watching whatever chat's actually going on, they can go ahead and post the link here. I'm just gonna leave it here in the sidebar. And I explained a lot, and we explained a lot of this in that particular video. Round of anti-vaxxers started showing up, and Andrew Wakefield started pushing more of his anti-vax bullshit. But Andrew Wakefield has decided to spend the rest of what career he can actually muster playing the professional victim, and I don't see where he deserves that either. He has people that follow him like he's Jesus or something.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. The whole victim mentality is crazy too. In that, yeah.
Don't get me started on professional victims. Just don't do it. Don't even go there.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Don't even buy the road map that shows you the location of the gas station. To buy the map that even goes there, that even thinks about going there.
Oh well, shit. We lost Uriah. That sucks. Well, Dan, you were trying to say something before. You got what's up? You got anything to add to this so far? Spider-Man.
He's out of it.
Come on, Dan, man.
Maybe he's sleeping.
Well, you've been awfully quiet, Luke.
Yeah, that's because
last time
I'm missing.
That's first time.
A lot of data. I looked at data on the web while you were talking about that particular subject. of that guy, and I find it missing. I find it hard to find general data about vaccines and how it works and what has been done to prove the effectiveness of vaccines and stuff like that. So yeah, do you know anything like pertinent towards that or?
Well, let me give you the Wikipedia page, and if you run by
Which one?
Google Scholar,
Andrew, what's his?
Oh,
Wakefield.
Wakefield.
No, not that guy. No, I don't. I understand this. He's a sham, right?
But yeah, that's the sham that got it nice, that got everything nicely kicked off.
Yeah, but more in
Next
general,
link,
the I understand that
actually,
there's no reason to no concern, no doubts from me about that particular case. But in general, you know, when you take all those people who gave vaccines or who created vaccines, and you know that some vaccines aren't cheap, right? You have to pay to get them.
Most aren't cheap. Well, I mean,
actually,
they take a lot of money
Let me,
to develop and
let me do something here for you. I think I can actually help you. I can actually help you here, Luke. Let me grab something from the CDC real quick. Here we go. The Centers for Disease Control keeps a list of the costs of vaccines, and they update it every few months.
Okay.
In this case, you could. Most people say, well, the CDC lies, but they get their information from the manufacturers, and you can always go back and check their numbers with the manufacturers.
Yeah.
You're going to find that after shipping and handling and whatnot, the average dose of vaccines is actually not more than about $35, and that's here in the U.S. It's cheaper elsewhere.
Okay. So it's not expensive. Is that what you're saying?
No. Matter of fact, vaccines cost nearly nothing compared to what it costs for a single case of, say, measles.
to treat someone with the disease.
For the doctor, Porsches and Ferraris and fucking Jaguars and all their exotic BMWs.
Well, and then the meds that they have to get to keep fevers
That's what
down and all that
all
other
they're
stuff.
doing it for.
You know,
That's what they care about.
if they were in it for the money, they wouldn't make vaccines at all.
Great.
If they were strictly in this for the money, they wouldn't make vaccines. They'd let us get sick.
No,
Yeah.
they'll give us what they got, but it's all everything's got a price. You know.
Well, yes, but the cost of vaccines is a hell of a lot less
from somewhere.
than just
Whether
the cost alone.
whether a government program pays for it, like the money there's money flowing. You know, I work for the government. I know, like they just.
What do you mean? Elaborate for a second.
Like just the government, like they just that's how it works. You know, like every department everywhere, they just are gonna use up everything they have. If they have like $20,000 just sitting there, and they're like, well, we have these $20,000, but if we use it next year, we'll get more money anyways. You know, like that kind of shit happens all the time.
If we don't, we're gonna get our. And if we don't, we're going to get our budget slashed. That does happen. But at the same time, the pharmaceutical companies don't operate like that, and everyone everywhere operates on money.
Like same thing happens in that they're, you know. What was the point I was trying to get? they're there for the money. They're not there for, you know, they don't
Like I
get
said,
money for research for next year if they don't have anything coming out, you know, anything that's working. You know, that's what they have. They have to
again,
show us some
but
positives.
yeah, I don't know if anybody's posting the links I've been putting up here to the main chat there where everybody's watching, but we might want to do that.
Well, hold on, Dan. When you're not talking, mute your mic. Your echo. Everybody's reverberating through here.
Anyway,
I know we didn't get it. Oh, there you go.
yeah, I've worked for the military myself. I worked for the military for quite a while, and yeah, I know how the government works in terms of cash flow. But at the same time, you know, if the vaccine companies were in it for the money, they wouldn't bother with vaccines. If they weren't in it strictly for the money.
What if vaccines weren't efficacious, didn't work?
Well, if the vaccines didn't work, then they do something else.
But you still sold something to people.
But there is but that being said, there's a significant amount of evidence towards efficacy for vaccines that isn't there for most everything else.
It's different negatives, you know. They're looking at. I understand that they're like, you know, looking for all of it. Like,
I mean, if you run through the Google Scholar link that I put up, you'll discover exactly where I'm coming from on it.
The Scholar, yeah, I get the Scholar one, the one with vaccine safety. Yes.
Yeah. I searched vaccine safety. There have been innumerable studies over the last few years, all trying to put the lie to Wakefield, and they're not doing. At this point, yeah, we're doing okay, but we're not convincing the people that aren't. That are being. We're not really convincing the people that are stuck on stupid, and those are the people, unfortunately, we need to get to.
I don't. What is there a study in particular that you wanted to share that I could read like quickly because.
Well, I haven't actually looked over the link in detail myself yet, so
yeah. It's talking about how to give vaccine to someone, not how the vaccine is effective or not. The link you shared.
Okay, let's see. How about this? The one I have. The one is. Let's see. We got surveillance for safety after immunization. The vaccine adverse reporting system. That's actually a good one. Let's see. And down at the bottom of what I have for page 1, under immunization amongst children, effects of vaccine safety concerns on immunization status. Those should actually help.
Status.
Those are both on page 1.
Well, page. I think I have all of them on the same page. I'm sorry. Maybe this one. I have references. Is it after the references? Is it the table one?
The one I'm looking, the one on page that I'm dealing with page 1 in the Google Scholar link. Gus Strine Maurice for the under immunization amongst children. And the other one is Zhu Pool and Xander.
So
The part of
basically,
another part of it.
they're saying that it's effective, right?
They're saying that they are saying it's effective and it doesn't actually have any kind, and what negative side effects there are far outweighed by the amount of good that it actually does. 99.999999999 ad nauseum percent of people are just fine.
Yes. So yeah,
Actual rate of
that's for
adverse
the after.
reaction is something close to one. Is actually something to one in. Oh God, it's not even 1 in 100,000. More like
Yeah,
1 in a million or 1 in 10 million.
it's a really small number of people who get sick after getting the vaccine. Is
Okay,
that what you're
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
They
And those two people that do get sick after getting the vaccine either aren't caught up on their boosters, which is their fault, or or the vaccine wasn't or their immune system didn't react the way most people's would.
okay. Did they make your tests before, while creating the vaccine, to make sure that the vaccine worked
Yes,
correctly?
actually, that's part of the licensure. That is actually part of the process for licensing vaccines. They have to be thoroughly tested.
Okay.
They make
So
a log of the possible adverse effects. They
I mean, all
anything
drugs
that they
before the FDA can approve them to go on the market must be like double-blind studied and all that, correct?
and
Including
sometimes
vaccines.
several times, especially vaccines. Vaccines are actually held to a higher standard than any other type of medication. A much higher standard.
mm. And the paper you shared with me is talking about that or something else?
I see again. I went with some names that I recognize off of a list of stuff that I have handy. I haven't actually looked at any of these papers,
Okay.
so I don't actually know. I can't tell you for certain what's in all of them.
Yeah.
I'm looking at titles and saying these might actually be of some use to you
Okay.
if you're taking the backside of it. I know there are some people that are. I'm also looking at the number of citations
Oh.
and the age of the paper. Okay, Google Scholar is actually really good about this. So is PubMed. But you can check. But with Google Scholar and PubMed both, you can actually check the records of some of the people that are actually that have actually been in that have been in and around these studies.
Yeah.
And see what they're about. Those that aren't linked are usually linked elsewhere, and you can check them, and you can go back and check these people.
Interception reports. Do you know what that means?
I'm sorry, run that by me
They talk
again.
about number of interception reports.
I'm gonna need to see that word in print.
Yeah. My English is so great, But,
well, and then my
can,
hearing isn't perfect either, so.
Yeah, that's a great combo. You have the link here, and I just sent the link, and
good.
it's a figure 4.
Hang on, let me look. Okay,
So,
that's the one on VAERS that and I need to know give me a second.
Yeah, typing figure 4 FIGU 4.
Type the words you're trying to say here. Also in the side chat, please. It's not a word I'm particularly familiar with.
I mean, neither. I guess.
Need some time looking for it?
Hey, Dan, while they're doing that, what we didn't start out with what we usually do. And what are you smoking on tonight? If you're even still with us. You gone again?
Yeah. I don't smoke. I'm a good Catholic. I don't smoke.
Yeah. I guess he's off doing something.
Yeah.
And I never even got a good look at your bong, Dan. You're gonna have to show us your bong again. Perception?
Yeah, that's a big word. Type in like
Interception.
try it's written on figure 4. You know, figure 4 on the text I just linked above, and
Oh.
it's a.
Okay, I see what that is.
You see what intercession is?
That's a situation in which one part of the bowel kind of moves itself into another one and gets kind of cramped up under there.
The inversion of one portion of the intestine within another. Or that's medicine, and 2, botany. The growth of a cell wall by the deposition of cellulose. The area of the surface increases uniformly by intussusception. Okie dokie then.
In this case, we're dealing with the first definition, and yeah, okay. Sometimes you do get some things like that, but those things are exceedingly rare, and that's what VAERS is for detecting those problems and making sure that gets on the list of things that could happen.
Yeah, that's weird because this figure 4 I'm looking at right now, there's like a peak in between 1998 and 1999, and there's nothing else around. Well, there are some parts just rare over there and there, but you know, like there's like 30 cases in November 1999, 1998, or something like that, October. I don't understand why would there be like this kind of peak right there, because the figure is talking about the number of vaccines. No, after the reports after they got the vaccines. That's weird.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not the vaccine for interception.
It's not necessarily for interception. That could be that's probably a conglomeration of all adverse reactions that were noted.
No, it actually says figure 4, number of interception reports after any vaccines by vaccination date from 91 to 99. And it peaks in 99. Yeah, I don't know what.
Even then, you're talking about a chance that could be anything, and you're talking about 50 cases out of how many between 1998 and 1999?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah,
look at MMR 1999. There were there were almost 14 million MMRs administered during that period. There were almost 14. So you're talking about 45 cases
out
of 14 million.
Yeah, I'm not sure those are out of those 40 million. I don't understand the what the figure
I'm wrong.
about.
Hang on. Well, the figure is about is about one particular type of problem. 1999. You're still looking at 45 people-ish having a problem out of 453,000 doses administered. And that's for 1999 alone. For rotavirus.
But
specifically for rotavirus.
There is nothing before. That's what I find weird. It's like from 1991 to 1999, there's like basically nothing. Well, there is one here and there, but
I don't think I don't see. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. I don't think rotavirus. I don't know when the rotavirus vaccine was put together, but I suspect it was actually during that period, and that was probably its first year of use. Give me a second. Let me check that.
Wait, that's not the number of people that had it that year. That's the number. That's the date. The year is the date of vaccination. Right. So 1999. Yes. All those people it didn't happen to them necessarily in that year. They were vaccinated in that year, is what that's saying.
Well, it would have had to have been something close to that. But there's no information prior to that. I need a history of
number of intussusception reports after any vaccines by vaccine date. That's what that graph is.
Yeah.
Right. I will have to go. Sorry, guys. It's getting late.
I know exactly. I know what happened. I know what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. The reason you only have dates at that particular point. The reason you only have information from VAERS from 1999 is because it was being tested during that time. It had not been. It wasn't actually officially licensed until 2008. Or 2006. Rototech was originally licensed in 2K6, which means they had those. They put it that this was a test. They injected a bunch of people with it, a small sample compared to the overall population side. They had this many problems with this particular issue, and then they went back and they fixed it. That's why there's no information after.
Interesting.
Yeah. So they didn't get the data from before, but still they have data from before. There is like one in 19.
They have the data from 1999, and then it had to be retested again, and it had to be retested probably in 2004 and 2005, and they found a much lower rate of this particular issue.
Did you see like there's a dot in 1993? And another one in 1994.
Not actually. Yeah. Hold on, I'm not actually looking at the paper right now. Give me 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Which one are you looking at?
Figure 4.
Figure 4. Oh crap! Let me find it again. That's figure 2.
It's right after a table.
That's figure 3. That's table 4.
It's right after table 4.
Yeah, that's the number. Yeah, okay. That's after any vaccination.
No, I didn't just do that. There we go.
If you look at it, that's the number for any vaccination. And by the way, this blockage that they're talking about is actually something that can be corrected surgically inside of an hour.
This right here is what we're talking about for anybody watching live. Figure 4, number of intussusception reports after any vaccines by vaccination date. United States, January 1991 through December 1999.
Oh, you got it. Great.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't think to do that right now.
But that's again for every vaccine, and there's that and that big spike that you see in the table or in the figure, that's that rotavirus again. That's the same one. But you only got one case between 93 and 94, one in 94, 95, and one in 97, and then only one again in 1999 after the rotavirus is pulled. After the bad rotavirus vaccine was pulled. So
the question was, why is there this much in that between those dates?
Because
that's when the rotavirus was being tested.
And it didn't pass.
They
had to go back and fix it.
In 1993, they did test it. No?
These are all okay. Look,
these are all vaccines.
That's all vaccines.
This is all vaccines, right? So where that spike is where that bad batch was tested. That's what
the other
saying.
ones could be any vaccine, and we don't know.
Or it could just
the
be
other four
causes right after
any vaccine. You could just and even then you don't even really have a correlation.
And like I say, it doesn't say that it's from it. It just says that it's intussusception reported after a vaccination. That's all it is. It doesn't say. Yeah, there's my mouse. Hi, mouse.
Yeah. What did you learn? What do you learn from that graphic?
The number of intussusception reports after vaccination by vaccination date. That's exactly what it says.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it says. It says that this is a very rare occurrence, except for that one batch of rotavirus that got what looks like maybe 100 or 150 people out of 450 some odd thousand. I would say that's still not a bad test. It was just that the injury margin for that particular issue was a little was unacceptable as far as licensure and the FDA go. And
if you go to figure number 3 right here, number of intussusception reports after the Reese's rotavirus vaccine tetravalent. Okay, so this is that spike right there, the tetravalent. That's one vaccination. That's the spike in intussusception right here. See, and that's what this graph figure number 3 is showing. See, figure number 4 is showing reports of intussusception after any vaccine, but figure number 3 here shows intussusception reports after that one Reese's rotavirus vaccine tetravalent.
So
that we're still talking about 200 or so cases out of 450 some odd thousand. The FDA pulled it, and they had to go back and do it again. So what does that say about their concern for vaccine safety? Quite a bit, actually.
That's great.
Because you're talking about numbers less than a half percent. You're talking about less than a half of a percentage point. You could actually work that out. It's the percentage of injured people from that particular vaccine was not very high, and they still pulled it because they got this.
Why do you want to do that? We all agree on the fact that it's not a big deal. But you want to make that number or percentage or whatever. We all agree here that it's not a big deal. This is not something that is big.
Testing vaccines, it obviously is a big deal. I mean, those numbers seem small to us, but we're not immunologists.
Maybe, yeah. So, I just wanted to make sure that I understood the graph, and I think I do right now. It's one type of vaccine that gives.
I need to beg off for a second here.
What? Hello? We lost it. Anyway, time for me to go to bed. I wish you a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Have a good night, and
Yeah, you
we
too.
talk together soon.
Adios. Thanks for joining us.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night, Luke.
All right, Dan, are you back with us yet? Oh, Danny boy.
Okay.
Anyway, so Uriah, what's your take on everything that's been going on so far? Oh, just to let anybody who's watching who might want to join know, the link to join is posted in the events page, in the comment section of the events page. So just come on in and join. So go ahead, Uriah. Sorry.
No, I just was aside from getting my internet connection being bad and dropping out, missing parts of it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
so that sucks.
but yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious that the testing methods used for the safety. I mean, the standards for the safety, obviously, as we can see by those two charts there, are very rigorous. I mean,
At first, I was wondering where's I don't necessarily understand that, and then I saw figure 3, and then it's like, oh, wait a second, yeah, no, that's all starting to make sense now. Yeah, that is directly that one rotavirus vaccine, and yeah, wow, that's crazy.
yeah, and so it's like, okay, so let's go ahead and make sure that less than 0.5% of the population are not getting sick from this vaccine. I mean, if you look at the numbers there, I mean, that's how many people were tested and how many people actually got sick from it.
Yeah, that was a ridiculous amount.
I mean, that's ridiculously low, I think.
Yeah, it's there, boom. I sent the link to most people too. Hopefully that's not overdoing it. But yeah, that was pretty blatant. That was pretty damn blatant in my opinion. Anyway. Then again, I guess I'm already biased towards the vaccine. I mean, look at America. Hey, Tim Robinson, welcome.
Hey, how are y'all doing?
Thanks for joining us. If you haven't seen today, we're talking about Anti Vaccers. I guess that should be 2 X's, not C's, but oh well. William Winston, welcome.
Oh, well, I'll just listen for a little bit.
Yeah, we were actually we were just finishing up a little chat on. I guess I can show it right here real quickly. This, damn it. Work with me, mouse. Work with me.
Oh, we've all been there.
There's this page right here. We were looking at number of times people's bowels flipped over them after getting a vaccine from 91 to 99, and how this one batch of tetravalent rotavirus vaccine here had got a lot of people's bowels in a knot currently. Yeah. You're right. Go ahead and continue. You were just making a point.
Oh, I was just.
All right. Go ahead, Uriah.
Oh, I was just saying, when you look at the percentage of people that, I was just saying that the percentage of the people that actually got sick compared to the numbers of people that actually got the virus, that actually got the. Okay, we got a troll.
No. I was just joking around. Please don't kick me. I was just having fun. Please, I'll stop. I like your beard.
Go ahead, Uriah.
So, but
Stop having fun.
But anyway, yeah, the percentage of how getting the actual problems and compared to the amount of people that took it, it's a very low percent, and even with that amount of even with that low percentage of people that had the problems, they still pulled pulled the vaccine to improve it so less people got sick.
Yep, pretty much.
It's really incredible with how much like gets through on you hear about like oh god, I just had it. It was there was something we heard about recently that got through that was, oh god, now I can't even think at all. There was a SSRI, or there was something that was like causing people to have suicidal thoughts or something like that that was getting through that they had just stopped recently. You know that these types of things get through on simpler things. Yet on vaccines, yeah, they've been on it, I guess. I don't know. I mean, it's really hard to trust pharmaceutical companies when you see the amount of damage that is done by them. But on the other hand, you know, it's I don't know. It's a really fine line that they're walking, I guess. You're going to say something, Kage?
Yeah, I'm actually checking. Checking the current numbers.
Ooh, hell yeah. That'd be nice to know.
I don't know about the current. Okay. All right. I have a link for you about the rotavirus vaccine that was marked. As far as trusting the pharmaceutical companies, you can sue those if you actually have real problems.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's a whole legal system.
The government, on the other hand, is a little harder to sue, but it's not a big thing. There is actually the information on the rotoshield virus, or rotoshield vaccine that they used in 1998 and 1999, and the CDC had it pulled, or the ACIP had it pulled. Because it was creating because it was creating, for exactly the reason that it was creating problems.
So now the question that one thing that I always wondered was, when anti-vaxxers get their information, you know, actually looking at the peer-reviewed studies and taking a look at current information, or are they just going by, you know, oh, well, I heard this guy say this one time. I mean, how much do they actually do the research?
That's exactly what they're doing. I heard this guy say this thing this other time, and you know, this other guy says his kid had this problem after he got the vaccine. Blah blah blah. I don't doubt that some of these might actually be true, but they take a single case and turn it into every case, as opposed to actually looking at peer review. They don't have the time or the energy to or the intellectual honesty required to actually go back and look at what the actual evidence says. They're much happier poo-pooing what they don't understand, because, well, to try and understand it might actually be hard.
Yeah. And so I mean, I could understand it. You know, as a kid starts developing, so then they correlate the two, and then they say, then they have another kid, right, who they decided not to get vaccinated, but then also doesn't have autism, so they correlate that with it in test because cases. So they don't understand the method of testing, of how testing works fully, but they see the correlations, and they think the correlation equals causation.
You know, another thing I've noticed is this. A thing I've noticed big time is that the anti-vax movement it does not stand on its own a lot of times. You know, I've been noticing that the people that jumped on the anti-vaccination bandwagon around me, anyways, around in my personal sphere of influence have been people who have already been on the fanatical end of like religious views and those types of things. And that
You also
well,
get a
these
bunch. You
guys
also
are
get a
already
lot of staunch libertarians that are that do exact that are in that mix too. People that are completely anti-government. They don't want it. They don't want a government. They don't need a government. Blah 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 blah. They're on welfare and food stamps. Don't want the government interfering, but you know,
yeah, I haven't
you
personally
get
met
that type.
any of
You get
them.
that type too, and the two working together are just boring.
Yeah,
I've seen a bunch of them.
I haven't met any of them personally, but I've met plenty of those damn the people fundamentalists in any religion really who by the process of becoming fundamentalism is that process that allows them to just grab onto anything despite the flaws and claim that it's flawless, and that that lends itself very easily to grasping something as scientifically unsound as the anti-vaccination movement. And those are the same type of people who are still the
Yeah, well,
flat
most of them
earthers,
don't have the
or
like I said,
wait, what?
don't get me started on the flat earthers either. Just don't get me started on the flat earthers either. I have my own issue with them, and that's just these people can't even math.
What about hollow earthers?
Actually, believe it or not, Hollow Earth is just a variation on flat Earth, and they're treated more or less same, and you treat them more or less the same.
Oh, you're right. I joined
Not
again.
only that, they make the same claims.
The same claims.
Yeah,
huh?
he dropped back out again. Sorry, he'll get over it.
I
They make
would
the same
enjoy,
types of claims.
I would enjoy having a flat earther on or something. That would be a good show.
Oh yeah, okay. You want the runaround? You, sir, are a masochist.
It's all about views now. It's fine. We don't get views. This is all about discussion.
You are a masochist.
Well, damn. It's starting to get pretty late. I think I'm gonna smoke a joint with my wife and watch a movie. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, does anybody have anything closing to wrap up? What?
Oh. No, I'm good. I think I monopolized enough of everyone's time. I think.
I think we had an awesome discussion. I've enjoyed it.
We just got to make sure all those links find their way out to the kiddies.
Yeah, they're on both of the comment sections of YouTube and the event page itself. Uriah, you got any closing remarks before we shut it down?
The links themselves are actually relevant.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Come on, Yuri.
Hell yeah. You frozen again, bro?
I think he got jacked. I think he jacked himself.
Yeah.
I think we're seeing a ghost.
There he goes.
Oh, yep, we were seeing a ghost.
All right.
But I guess it's just me.
On that note, thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good night.